Would you tell us about the story of cat people?
Well, it's a very difficult story to relate because it's more in the nature of a myth, and if one is too literal about it, it sounds quite silly. So I'd rather not give a synopsis of it uh, because I think it kind of diminishes the visual magic of the movie and makes it more of a plot story than a picture story.
Is cat people about sexuality more than horror?
Well, it's about. I mean, yeah, I suppose if you have to say it's about anything, it's about myth and eros, and it's not realistic, and it doesn't comment on the way people live, quote unquote, today. I mean, it's about the kind of truths of sexuality that have always expressed themselves in dreams and in nightmares and in legends and myths throughout time. And, you know, the expression that they take in a story set in 1981 is not that different than they might have taken 2,000 years ago. So the truth or the comment of the movie lies in those universal qualities rather than anything particular to our time.
What made you choose Nastasia Kinski?
Well, I had a very tricky casting problem, and when it came down to it, there's only one actress who could fill my needs, which is I needed this person to be able to do a number of things. I needed her to be credible as a virgin because that's a plot point, so that she has to be of a relatively young age. I also needed her to have a non-particular air. I didn't want her to be specifically American or French or German or anything. I wanted her to be slightly ethereal in that way. And I also obviously wanted her to be beautiful and talented, so that when I started adding up my requisites, there weren't too many people in column A. In fact, she was the only one in column A. There were a number in column B.
She talks about trust between the director and the actress. In what way have you worked together?
Well, obviously, if you're dealing with any level of sexual explicitness or emotional openness, actor has to feel that, or an actress has to feel that what he or she is doing will be received and understood and appreciated and not exploited. And as long as that trust exists, an actor is free to expand their emotions. And if they don't feel that trust, then they play it safe. And I think that that's one of the jobs of a director, is to either convince the actor or actress that they are in good hands, or just intimidate them and disregard their feelings. But you have to do one or the other.
How have you created her character, you and she?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you have a lot of... that's a hard question to answer because you have a lot of discussions. But then it always comes down to specifics and each scene and seeing it and how it all adapts. And you have some grand ideas at the beginning, but those ideas shift and change every day. So I just wouldn't quite know how to answer that.
Have you found it a different experience directing somebody else's words than your own?
Yeah. And, well, I took this project as a change of pace for me, to get away from street-level films, to get away from trying to find truth in any realistic way, and to get into the areas of fable and heightened reality. And doing someone else's script obviously helps that, because you don't feel as limited or tied to your own immediate experience. You feel freer to do things that you would be a little more possessive of if were your own. And one of the reasons I got involved in this was that after the years of steady working, I found myself unable to write, and I took this as a way to sort of change my working pattern. And as soon as I started working on this, I was able to start writing again. And so it's proved to be a therapy, and I think it will be beneficial, both personally and aesthetically.
When I read the script, I felt a little sad. Could one say it's really a sad story in a way about unfulfilled love? And
no, I mean, it may seem at the end to be sad. I don't quite see it as sad. It's it's a very sort of Dante Beatrice thing going on between the two of them, and the zoo curator, who is likes animals more than people, and has always looked for an object, an icon worthy of his veneration, and finally finds one. And she has a problem in that she has a dual nature. But that turns out, to be more of a bonus than a drawback, because he then is able to put her on the pedestal and keep her in his own, little chapel.
you have dealt with a lot of very difficult subjects in your films and explored the mind and feelings. In this, you also explore incest.
No, I wouldn't say that. Incest in this film is more of a plot point than a theme. What it is, the theme would be, sexual imagery, sexual imagination. Incest is more of just a straight plot obstacle, in the same way that one person can't get from A to B because the planes aren't running. So it's not really a movie about the planes not being able to fly.
When your audience sees this film, what do you think they would see it as? A fantasy in a way?
Well, I mean, I think that as a myth or a parable, fantasy, all those words are applicable.
You are known in America as an American auteur. Do you believe in the auteur theory?
Well, I mean, I believe that the one person primarily responsible for film is the director, simply because he's the one person who has the final say. Not because he's the smartest or the most talented, but somebody has to finally make the decisions. In the same way, an editor or sometimes a publisher is an auteur, because somebody has to decide what stories go in and what stories don't. That doesn't really make him better. It does make him the final arbiter. There are about 5 primary components to a film, which is the director, the cinematographer, the writer, the production designer, the composer. That's the sort of hand or the fist that makes a film. And I'm not including the actors because that's in front of the camera. I mean, the 5 major people behind the camera.
Well, when you think about creating as a director, do you think you feel more comfortable being the writer?
Well, I did quite a bit of work on the script, and so at this point I don't think of it as being someone else's work. And it's not a soul-bearing kind of script anyway, in that it's a remake of a movie many years ago, which is a movie based on an ancient theme. and I did a lot of work on the script myself, and so I don't really feel that I'm adapting another person's vision in any way. I don't mean to denigrate the work of the writer, but I think he would say the same thing, that it is very much a collaborative process, and